Since 9/11, there has been a great fear of Islam.
We need Muslims, I always say, to speak up in this country.
Much of our Islamic community is perceived to be insular.
Most Americans have never met a Muslim or are not aware of having met a Muslim.
Most people don't have enough education in terms of what the entirety of Islam represents.
It's very easy to hate someone or to put stereotypes on people that you've never interacted with.
But do you think if Muslims were more integrated in society, in America, in the United States of America, then there would have been less anti-Muslim scenario?
I think it's even more important that our clergy speak up. They are, after all, the moral force in our community.
You see, the Islam that is celebrated is one which opens its doors.
Having this type of dialogue in terms of a community outreach or
Something that Muslims have to do is go out just like you do and inviting non-Muslims to the iftar. And you do a lot of speaking to mixed groups.
We have to change the language from us versus them to a language of we.
I believe that if we can stand together against the forces of hatred and be unified in this country, then we can do wonderful things.
Bringing us together to enhance the beauty of humankind.
I think religion can be such a powerful force for unity.
Of course.
We've made it into this powerful force for disunity.
Keep trying to understand each other and care for each other and keep building a world community, because I believe that's what God wants for us all.
And I'm in their mosques and they're in my temple, and it's been a phenomenal experience. I've had a very warm and welcoming experience from all the brothers and sisters in the community.
That every human being is either your brother in faith or brother in humanity.
In Arabic, the word is lita'arafu, so that you will learn to understand one another.
And this is the truth of what it should be. You see, this is why I am so pleased to come here today, to support the work of Al-Hikmat.
The kind of intolerance and the violence that we see across the globe is rooted in ignorance, which we can overcome by teaching.
Yes.
Also rooted in fear, which we can overcome by experiencing, where we can actually live in each other's presence. You know, it's rooted in this myopic kind of my way only, rather than this understanding that maybe all of us have more in common, and at the core of who we are is this truly global family that we belong to.
I'd like to say what a joy and pleasure it is to have Shaikh Shafayat as my friend, as my teacher, as my co-worker in the vineyard of Allah, God, where we work together to make this world a better place, to do God's work, to do the work which we are commanded to do as human beings.
Welcome to Who is Who on Al-Hikmat TV, 24/7 online. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to have with us in the studio attorney Yoni Makhof. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's really a blessing, I consider it, as opposed it's going to be now from the blessing to a very educational opportunity for viewers worldwide. So viewers, sit back, relax, stay tuned. You're going to hear a lot of things that you would love to hear and would have loved to hear from the horse's mouth, as we would say, directly. Mr. Yoni Makhof is from the law offices of Yoni Makhof. So that tells you he's an attorney and he's considered an elder law attorney. Am I correct?
Yes.
And I got to be very correct with the legal terminology. I hope I am. He got offices in different areas, Aventura, Hollywood, Boca Raton, and from a legal point of view, of course, nowadays the world is very small, the globe is getting smaller, so a telephone call from anywhere in the world, I suppose, can work with him. If you have a question, you're American citizen or green card, and you live wherever in the world and you got a question to ask, well, this is the man you can talk to. So again, once more, Attorney Yoni Makov, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So could you tell us a little bit, our viewers, and you know, our viewers are worldwide, east, west, north, and south, a little bit about what you do, probably what motivated you to get into elderly law. You know, elderly law. There are people who would love to do property laws, criminal law, but you are into elderly law. I don't really meet many people who are into elderly law.
Right. Well, there's not that many elder law attorneys. It's a relatively new field.
Okay.
Relatively new, going back from the 90s. So it's not bankruptcy that was written into the Constitution, going back from 1793 when it was finally ratified. So it's relatively new area of law, and it's a combination of a couple different areas that they created elder law with. So the basis of elder law is estate planning, wills and trusts and powers of attorneys and healthcare surrogates. That's the basis of the elder law. And then they...
but not to cut you. So when we say elder law, so a guy in his 40s, someone in their 40s or 30s, do you serve these kind of people?
I don't discriminate, so absolutely.
Because automatically they will be getting into the elder law situation, so they can probably be talking to you at the age of 35 if they inherited some money, wealth, estate, to sit and start thinking of what will happen after 60 or 65, right?
Correct. So, that's a very good point. So that generation has two needs. The first is their own estate planning needs. You know, that generation, when you're 40s and 30s, you're starting to have kids of your own. And you want to make sure that you leave them well enough so that if you depart early, they're taken care of. What I say to people of that age, you know, you have a life insurance policy. It's a $1 million policy. Would you necessarily want to give an 18-year-old $1 million? Probably not. You know, I know if I was 18 and I got $1 million, I don't know if I would have gone to college.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
So that's what the estate.
You would have made it before having to study it.
Right. And I probably would have spent it by the age of 25.
Yes.
So that's what a lot of the estate planning does, is it helps the families distribute those assets in a manner that is appropriate for the beneficiary.
Okay.
The second aspect of what, you know, somebody in their 30s and 40s, they have parents of the baby boomers that are retiring, and oftentimes they're now the caregivers of those families. So that's where the elder law really kicks in for them, is what do they do and how do they plan for their parents?
Oh, that is interesting. So the parents is always better off than the parents who got assets and they got wealth and whatever. As they get older, they should find an area into this territory to invest that will benefit them.
Absolutely.
So what motivated you to get into this career?
So I sort of kind of fell into it like anything else. Nobody goes to law school saying, I'm going to be a bank compliance attorney, you know, or I'm going to do, you know, maritime law. I mean, nobody goes to law school thinking of those issues. We just kind of fall into it as you go along. So a few years ago, about 5 or 6 years ago, I came across, because I always did a lot of estate planning since I got out of law school, and I came across a woman who did Medicaid applications for the nonprofit quasi-government or organization, what we call the AAAs, the Aging Disability Resource Centers.
Okay.
And she went out on her own, and I came across her at a networking function, and we sort of partnered up, and she actually taught me Medicaid.
Wow.
And because she worked for 12 years as a supervisor approving Medicaid applications here in Broward County. So that organization is the one that actually approves and coordinates the whole application process.
And at the end of the day, you know, when people reach that stage in life, they become very emotional. They don't know what to do. They get so many advices. This one is like, I heard this, I got this. And you really don't know what is authentic. And a lot of times people probably got through with something which is not really the way to get through, but they're just lucky they met someone and it went through, but it may not be the right way to do it. Sometimes I'm sure there's an oversight in a lot of things that happens. But financially, I think it's a good career.
Well, especially down here in Florida. I mean, we have a 22% of our population is over the age of 65 down here in South Florida.
You know, there's a famous saying, the dead business do not die.
That's true.
Why I'm saying that, funeral services are one of the most sophisticated offices and homes, and it's, you know, you can put any price on a burial when it's time to die. The reason why I'm saying this, I'm building up to a point. When it's time, when a person dies, there's so much of expenses that you wonder, you know. So when a person is close to that aging process and we're getting down there, I suppose a lot of these investments and a lot of people assets can really benefit in your career. I mean, I just looking at it, I'm just looking at it from a very professional financial point of view, and I think it's really phenomenal that you went into that career.
Yeah, no, and I love it. It's it's an area of law where, you know, if you do a will for somebody, it's a piece of paper. So to them, it's just a piece of paper. And so they take it home, they put it on the bookshelf, and they forget about it. 10 years, 20 years down the line, when they need it, or when the family needs it, they pull it off the bookshelf, and they open it up and say, okay, this is what's happening, this is, you know, who's getting what. Okay. But it's a gratification to the attorney 20 years down the line.
Yeah.
Personal injury settlements, you know, personal injury attorneys, you slip and fall at Publix. I'm not saying Publix is bad. You know, you slip and fall at a store. Okay, so you get the settlement a year down the road. Medicaid is very different in the sense that there is so much emotional stress on the family to take care of mom. What are we going to do? Where's mom going to go when she's after the rehabilitation center because she slipped and fell? And what's going to happen? What are we doing? And you really see the the tension just washes right out from underneath them. And you see it when you're sitting with them, explaining to them what we can do and how we're going to do it. And just the tension and the stress just washes right out. So it's very gratifying in that sense.
Of course. I mean, and there are a lot of times people may not find that document, so they will have to call you.
Right.
A lot of times they may not find it. They don't even remember what they did.
That's true.
So they will have to touch base with you again.
True.
So you will have to go into the archives or your records to find their certificate. You know, especially in the Muslim community, because it's more or less a kind of new community in America. The generation that came, now that they are in the aging process, you know, with my experience, there are not many of them who are really aware of this. And, you know, your services can be really, really, really beneficial at a very great level, because a lot of people hear so many things and they don't even know what to do, how to go about it.
There's a lot of fake news about it.
Yes, a lot of fake news, and some people choose not to even go into some of these facilities, not knowing that they have the option. And they got the ability to utilize those facilities, but they don't.
Well, it's not just the facilities. Also, what we find and what I've noticed with my client base, certain ethnic groups are very familially strong, okay? And there's a culture where the younger generation takes care of the older adults and their parents. And that's very strong within certain communities.
Yes.
When that occurs, the idea of a nursing home is something that they don't even want to think about. We are not putting mom or dad in a nursing home. Absolutely
Culturally,
not.
they don't believe, they think it's a disrespect, you shouldn't do it, it's not nice, okay.
And, you know, I'm not making a judgment one way or the other.
Yes.
I will tell you that nursing homes have a place in our society, as do assisted living facilities. They have a place in our society. And I don't think it's necessarily whether there's a strong family bond or not. You know, if we look at an assisted living facility for a second, one of the things I like about it is that it's 24/7 care. Okay. The second thing that is even probably more important is that there's a lot of socialization issues that occur in a assisted living facility that you simply don't get when you're living at home. For instance, they have always book clubs and yoga classes and everything that, all those ancillary activities that are going on in an assisted living and in a nursing home, that is simply not occurring in the house.
Yes.
And there is a socialization issue with that.
So while the children may want to be nice and not go against their culture, they may not be necessarily benefiting the parents to the maximum.
To the best abilities, correct.
They may be depriving them of more services, more facilities. I don't want to say a happier environment because, you know...
Oh, they're happy at home.
They are happy with the family.
It's one of those things when you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, but because of the fact that there are so many other things that exist around those areas, that rather than the parents sit home bored, the children go to work, you know, I think people need to be educated on this.
You know, what's funny is that, well, it's not funny, but the caregivers, which is usually the adult children, and they oftentimes, they'll have to leave work. Some of them will actually take a hiatus from work completely in order to care for mom or dad. Now they have their own kids, so they're trying to shuttle their kids to soccer and school and dance classes and everything else, and take care of mom or dad, you know, and do their own lives. You can imagine the stress levels that occurs here is incredible.
Of course, of course.
And these caregivers sometimes really have a lot of stress on them.
Plus, it begins a war among siblings as to who spends more time and who spends more money and who makes more effort. And they cannot really evaluate that because some may think that they give cash more, whereas the other one of the siblings spend more time, the other one more sacrifice and effort. So it really ends up in a little internal war.
Correct, absolutely correct.
Have you come across a lot of wars like that?
And we never have, and you know, you're talking about spending more time with mom or dad to take care of. Usually there's always one sibling that might not be local.
Yes.
You know, there's one that's living here in Coral Springs, and they're, you know, seeing mom or dad every day.
Right.
Okay, and there's another one that's in New York.
Yes.
And so now the one in Coral Springs is saying, well, you're not contributed.
Yes.
You know, as much time. And so, yes, there's a lot of familial tensions that are occurring as well.
Yes, a lot. I mean, you know, in my profession as a clergy, I come across a lot of counseling issues with this.
Right.
A lot of
can
tension.
imagine.
You know, so let's get to the point of how does a person really begin to utilize your services? A person has reached what age do they have to reach? What has to happen? You know, let's think about a person wanting to use these facilities. What has to happen before they even do that?
So let's start from the very beginning. And let's start this way. Everybody, you, me, the cameraman, the audience, everybody really ought to have 2 or 3 very key documents at any age.
Okay.
A power of attorney, a healthcare surrogate, and a living will. Okay, and that's true at any age. Okay, so the power of attorney says, I designate my spouse, I designate my kids if they're adult children, to be able to handle my financial affairs if I'm unable to. Okay, the healthcare surrogate says, if I'm unable to make a healthcare decision, my spouse, my adult children, my good friend, whomever, can handle and make those healthcare decisions.
Okay.
And a living will is what we used to call the DNRs, the do not resuscitate, whether or not you want to be placed on life support. Those 3 documents, we call them advance directives. And we call them advance directives because you're doing them in advance and they are directing your family as to what your intentions are.
And your office does it.
Yeah, of course. When we're talking about seniors, and it's, you know, very few, only about half of the population actually has these documents in place. When we're talking about seniors, we now have issues of dementia. we can no longer execute these documents.
Right.
So now what we're looking at is a guardianship in order to handle these issues. And it's really unfortunate. Guardianships are incredibly expensive. Incredibly expensive. You're looking at $4,000 to $8,000 for a guardianship, uncontested. Meaning none of the adult children are saying, no, I don't want him to be a guardian, I ought to be the guardian. No, we're talking about uncontested guardianships. Your average cost is about $6,000. It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
As opposed to, had we done the advanced directives, few $100s.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
So the balance in there is just incredible. But that really is the step one. So everybody should have these advanced directives. Okay.
So you want to explain the guardianship system again?
Yeah. So if somebody needs, let's take a scenario. Okay. Dad passed away.
Right.
So now mom is handling the mortgage payments.
Right.
She's handling the insurance payments, the FP&L, HOA, Chase Bank for the credit cards, the whole 9 yards. Mom slips, gets up in the middle of the night, needs to go to the bathroom. She slips, she falls, and she's now in a hospital.
Right.
Hospital discharges her to a rehabilitation center. She doesn't have access to her online accounts.
Okay.
She doesn't have her checkbooks. She can't physically, she broke her arm. She can't write those checks. Well, who's paying for the mortgage?
Right.
Who's making sure that Bank of America is getting paid every month?
Right.
Who's making sure the HOA? All that is power of attorneys. Now, if let's add another element to this and say, let's say mom has dementia, okay? So she can't actually execute these documents at this point.
Right.
So now what we have to do is go to the court. We go to the guardianship court or the probate court, and we ask the judge, and we say, Your Honor, my mom has dementia.
So they will come to you first for your advice.
The
before-
client.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, you have to have an
mom or
attorney to
whoever
go to
is going
court.
to come to your office first. You will take that case to the judge to get this materialized.
And it's a process.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it's a
here.
process because the first step is we file a petition with the court, and you have to actually be represented by an attorney. You can't do it on your own. One of those things that you cannot do on your own.
So that's what the judge is going to appoint someone that comes under the guardianship.
Correct. Usually a family member.
Okay.
Okay.
But it has to go through legal technicalities
and
because
once-
not any and every family member can do that.
Well,
now.
as long as you're not a felon.
Okay.
Okay. Which makes sense,
Yes,
you know.
yeah.
And you're an adult, you can be the guardian of the person. But as you can imagine, anytime you have to go to court, it gets expensive.
Of course.
And it's not even necessarily the attorney's fees that make it expensive. What occurs is there's a 3-person panelist that actually comes out and interviews mom. They want to make sure that, because they're stripping mom of a lot of her rights.
Yes, yes.
Okay, she'll no longer have the right to vote. She won't be able to remarry. She will not have the right, in Florida after Parkland now, she won't have the right to own a firearm if she had one, or he, okay? Enter into contracts. So a lot of those rights are being stripped. Before we take away those rights of an individual, we want to really make sure that they are, in fact, incapacitated. They don't have the mental capabilities of making these decisions.
Right.
So there's a 3-person professional panel that comes out to interview her. Well, they got to get paid.
Yes.
The court appoints another attorney to represent mom to make sure her rights are being administered properly.
Yes.
He or she has to get paid. You know, there's the court fees. They need to get paid. And then there's my fees as an attorney to do this process. So that's why it can...
So where all these fees come from? From
family.
dad that passed away? What he left?
From the kids, from the family, yeah.
Whatever is in their assets or the estate or however.
Yep.
Now, a family...
It's unfortunate. It's really
A family
unfortunate.
that does not have those assets, they just don't go through this.
Well, they do. The court...
Who pays for that?
The court, the county will pick up those fees, those costs.
And
if the family does not have.
And I suppose that's where the lawyer comes in.
Yeah.
Your office comes in to certify whether they have assets or not. And if not, then what are the backup to facilitate those finances?
Right. But it's unfortunate because it's really, and it also, not only is it expensive, you know, it's a 4-5 month process.
Yes.
It's not instantaneous.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
That's
So that's really
interesting.
the first step.
Yes, well, you know what? It's interesting. Do you know we have already spoken for more than 20 minutes?
No kidding.
Yes.
Time flies.
So, no, because it's also very interesting. You know, this is such a demanding issue. People need it. A lot of people, you know, there are a lot of regrets, a lot of family issues around this because of lack of knowledge. So I think, I mean, your advice, your experience is going to be so beneficial to our viewers worldwide. So we got to go on a short commercial break.
Okay.
When we come back, we're going to continue on point number 2 and
Sounds
how
good.
we get these things materialized so people can
Wonderful.
benefit. So thank you very
Thank
much
you.
again, viewers. We have been speaking to Mr. Attorney Yoni Makoff on all these assets and when people reach that aging process, health, Medicaid, you know, Medicare, and how people can utilize their assets and facilities and how what's best to facilitate parents and caregivers, etc., as they go through this aging process. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to continue on some of the realistic aspects of making things happen. Thank you very much.
Al-Hikmat Dawah Services is offering a 10-day tour to Dubai in India from October 14th to October 24th, visiting holy sites, Taj Mahal, and many other historic sites. Departure will be from Miami, Florida. Total cost will be $3,000 with flight, hotel, and breakfast. Visa processing fees are not included. If you are interested in this tour, please contact Al-Hikmat Dawah Services at USA office 954-986-0158 or our Trinidad office at 868-325-8276, or you can email us at alhikmat@alhikmat.com. Al-Hikmat Dawah Services is offering a Ramadan Umrah trip visiting Medina and Mecca on May 11th to May 20th, 2019. Group will be led by Shaikh Shafayat with an approximate cost of $24.95 per person, departing from Miami, Florida, inshallah. If you are interested in this package, please contact Al-Hikmat Dawah Services at USA office 954-986-0158 or our Trinidad office 868-325-8276, or you can email us at alhikmat@alhikmat.com.
Welcome back to Who is Who on Al-Hikmat TV. It is indeed again a pleasure to continue our discussion with Attorney Yoni Makoff on all these different important issues pertaining to Medicaid and Medicare and the aging process and how people benefit from facilities and services as they get older in life, and how caregivers, the children, can also benefit and make their mission much easier for themselves. So thank you again, Attorney Yoni Makoff. And I want to mention again that you're a specialist in elder law, which is a very unique field and a very, very important field because, I mean, everyone, before they die, they got to get older.
They're going to get old.
You know, I mean, except God knows best whatever happens in life if you're younger or whatever. But it's the process of life. So I know we got to talk a little bit about Medicare and Medicaid, and I want to touch a little bit on Social Security also.
Okay.
I mean, it's not too much details, but before we get into that, again, when do someone really will be considered, or when would it be considered the time for a person to start this aging process of benefiting from a facility?
So usually 95% of my clients, I get the call because mom fell and she's in the hospital and she can't come home.
So if mom doesn't fall down and the siblings and the parents think, well, okay, the kids think, well, our parents reach such an age, our schedule are so busy, but they do need someone present with them. They do need that fun and that care, play cards, meet other people of their age. We think it may be better for them to go in a facility.
Right.
And why I'm using the word facility as opposed to saying nursing home or whatever, which is the same thing, the nursing home take
It's
care
a
of
type
them.
of facility,
But I
right?
want to use the word facility because you want to facilitate them better than they are in a closed shop at home.
Right.
Is that a possibility without having to fall down and go to the hospital?
Absolutely. As we are living longer and longer today than we were years ago, we're seeing more and more dementia.
Okay.
And dementia is one of those really horrible diseases, okay, that you don't want to leave somebody alone in their house with dementia.
That's the
And
point.
and the reason is for two reasons. They can create a true hazard. You know,
Yes.
they turn the stove on, they forgot it's on, something burns, and
Yes.
you know, now you have a fire in the kitchen. The second is
They can harm themselves.
and they can harm themselves, the neighbors.
Yeah.
The second is wanderers. Oftentimes they'll actually leave and just forget where they are, and they're now wanderers. So you don't want to leave a person with dementia by themselves. So what happens is the facilities, whether it's a nursing home or an assisted living, has staff that can handle, and we're seeing it more and more where they have dedicated memory care units, whether in a nursing or in a assisted living facility, that are geared for dementia patients, for Alzheimer's patients.
Okay. Okay.
Usually I get the call when they come in from out of town during the holidays, during the summers. They came in to visit mom or dad, and they saw how bad the situation has become. And that's when I get the call. What do we do? That type of thing.
But if someone does not have dementia, but they just reach an old age.
And they have a hard time dressing themselves or making themselves, absolutely.
And you're not sure the loneliness at home, the kids, their kids, what we were talking before we went on the break, one is living in New York, one in Japan, one in wherever. And they just don't want these parents who have reached 80 years, 85 years, being alone.
Right.
Just to
Loneliness
prevent
is a
them
very-
from falling down. Or you don't want them to wander around and then realize there's a problem.
Yeah.
You want to prevent it. So in these cases, again, I know I'm asking the many questions that our viewers would be thinking in their mind. It's for you to put it however you want. I mean, you're the lawyer. You got to put what you see out there. I'm just throwing some thoughts as they come to my mind and as I think. How could someone just jump into that and decide we're going to get facilities? Is that possible? Or nursing home or facility?
Absolutely it is. And we have, so Medicaid, when we talk about facilities, the first thing we're always going to be talking about is cost.
Excellent.
Okay, so
they come to you first.
And they come to us, and a average nursing home cost in Florida is $9,500 a month.
Wow,
Okay.
we're talking $10,000
a month.
I mean, you put it in a nice way, $9,500.
Right, $95.99, right?
Yes.
But no, it's expensive. It's incredibly expensive. A assisted living facility is a lot less. It's about $2,500 to $3,000 for an assisted living facility per month.
And what's the difference?
The amount of care, the level of care provided.
Oh, okay.
So if we talk about an assisted living, we're talking about somebody who is older, okay, and may have some difficulties, and they need some help. So assisted living will provide 2 meals, laundry services, that type of thing, and a lot of social activities.
Okay.
Bingo and cards and book clubs and movie clubs and all that stuff.
But they live in?
But they're living there.
Okay.
They're living there full time, and they're still mobile. Generally speaking, they're still mobile, but they may need some help with their medications. They may need some help getting dressed in the mornings, taking showers, going, to the cafeterias and stuff. That's where the assisted living facilities really kick in. Medicaid, and now we have the cost. So there's about $9,500 versus $3,000.
Yeah.
Medicaid will cover the total cost of a nursing home. So that full $9,500 a month is being covered by Medicaid. Medicaid will actually pay for it. There's 3 ways to pay for care, long-term care.
Okay.
And when we say long-term, there's a difference between, there's a misconception. Everybody assumes that, I have Medicare. I'm 65 years old, I got Medicare, I've been on Medicare for 10 years, it'll pay for long-term care. It's a common misconception, and there's a common myth. Medicare does not pay for long-term care. So what is long-term care? And what does Medicare pay for? So Medicare will pay for your doctor's visits. You go see your primary care physician, Medicare will pay for it. You need a hospitalization, Medicare will pay for it. Now the problem is, when you
So
get out of the
Medicare pays for your medical bills.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
But when you get out of the hospital, question is now, where do you go? Where, are you going to come back home? Or are you too frail to be able to come back home? Do you need more services and you go into a facility? That's long-term care. That's what Medicaid kicks in. So Medicaid will pay for a nursing home in its totality. The only caveat is whatever your income, whatever your Social Security, so if the total cost is $10,000 a month. You have $1,800 of Social Security. So you're expected to pay that $1,800 to the facility, and then Medicaid kicks in the other $7,200 a month. Okay.
Wow. But that's for how many months?
However long you're there.
Oh, that's
for however long you're there.
So who qualifies for the Medicare and who qualifies for the Medicaid?
So Medicare,
as I said, I'm only asking the
for the audience.
The audience probably thinking in their mind. So who am I? Which category do I fall into?
Right. So everybody over the age of 65 is qualified for Medicare. Okay, that's an entitlement program for
what about
the U.S. government.
Legal status, immigration status?
Oh, so that's a good question.
There's
Okay.
a person with residency, permanent residence, or
so let me caveat that and say, every U.S. citizen over the age of 65 is qualified for Medicare, as well as permanent legal residence. Okay, is qualified for Medicare.
But there's a time?
There is a 5-year limit.
Okay, so the person would have had to been a permanent resident
for at least 5 years.
For at least 5 years, okay.
When it comes to Medicaid, there's 2 financial requirements. So you cannot have countable assets greater than $2,000, and you cannot have an income greater than $2,250. Okay, so let's take income first for a second.
$2,250 a month.
$2,250 a month, correct. So let's take income for a second. If you're a veteran and you're getting VA benefits and you're getting Social Security and you may have a small IRA, you're easily well over that $2,250 a month. So you're done. You can't qualify for Medicaid. Of course not.
Interesting. I like that. I like
of course not.
I mean, I like my little humor. So you mean it doesn't pay to be rich?
Right.
I don't know what I'm saying. When you get older, right? you need to be rich when you're younger, not when you're older.
That's true.
Because you're going to definitely get poor.
Well, it's also, how do we quantify rich?
Yes.
Is rich in dollars or rich in terms of what we've done with our lives and the legacies that we leave?
Yes. I understand. Anyway, I just wanted to plug that in.
So if you have an income greater than $2,250, we've simply created a unique type of trust. It's called a qualified income trust. And we just take the income that is over the Medicaid limits or greater than $2,250, we put it into this trust. The trust then pays for your care.
Oh.
So that's how we get around that issue.
And that's anything that came about from your job and your career, whether it's 401k, whether it's insurance, life insurance, health insurance, whatever you can benefit from.
Correct. That's for the income side.
You will not qualify for Medicaid.
Unless we do the special trust.
Okay.
If you have an income greater than $2,250.
Okay.
The second caveat is countable assets less than $2,000. Now, that's not much.
No.
I got to be honest, it's really not much. So the first question is, what is a countable asset from a Medicaid standpoint? Well, pretty much everything except for. So in Florida, it's your homestead, your house is not a countable asset. Okay. So they don't count the house. As long as there's caveats, as long as it's under a certain amount of equity, but we don't count the house. A car is not countable. Okay. In Florida, your IRA is not countable. Okay, as long as it's under distributions. Okay, which all my clients are. Small life insurance policies, prepaid burial.
What is considered small?
So the cash value, so the cash value of the policy is less than $2,500.
Okay. Okay. But if it goes over 100,000,
The face value can go over 100, but it's the cash value.
Okay.
Okay. And IRAs, small cash value, and prepaid burial services, not countable assets by Medicaid.
It's not an asset.
Not an asset.
So not your house, not your car, but if you have another house that you rented?
So it's interesting.
Because I can understand that what you use,
right,
like your
exactly
house and your car,
exactly
what you are on the daily use operation, that's not considered an asset, because that's a necessity where you live. But when you start having a couple of cars that you buy and sell, one other property that you collect or rent, yeah.
So now you got to speak to an elder law attorney who specializes in Medicaid. Okay.
And I just got to plug in. They need to come to see you in your office. Well, an elder law.
You might not like me. I understand
Yes.
it. Not everybody loves me. I get it. You know, my wife doesn't always love me, and I understand that.
Yes.
But, you know, in all sincerity, speak to an elder law attorney who does Medicaid. Not every elder law attorney does Medicaid.
Okay.
Not every estate planning attorney does elder law. Okay, so there are subsets. Speak to a qualified Medicaid attorney because now if we're talking about a rental house, well, that income is now counted on that $2,250.
Okay.
Okay. So Medicaid actually will not count the house as an asset per se, but they will count the income.
The income.
But now there's something called payback provisions. When that person passes away, there's estate recovery. By law, Florida, which receives Medicaid dollars from the federal government, has to try and recover their expenses and get reimbursed.
Right.
And they do that in probate court with rental houses, as an example.
Okay.
So you got to see an attorney, a Medicaid attorney.
So you may just lose that property.
You may, if you do this on your own. I say to my clients, listen.
I mean, the siblings, the children, the caregivers, if they were thinking that mom and dad were going to leave that property, then that could just have become history.
What I say is, you know, you can go on YouTube and figure out how to change the brakes on your car and do it yourself. You can go to auto parts store and buy the brake shoes or the brake pads and put it up on blocks and change your own brakes. Would you necessarily want to drive in that car? Probably not.
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't.
Of course, yeah.
Medicaid is very much the same thing. You can go on YouTube and hear and buy some books and figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
This is not an area of law that you want to try and do on your own.
I mean, the kind of assets, the kind of money, the kind of costs you're talking about, why try?
What we charge is such a minimal amount
Of course, yeah.
versus what is at risk of being lost.
Definitely. Why mess around something that is a greater loss than one you will have to pay an attorney?
Absolutely. So what does Medicaid pay for is the next question, right? So Medicaid covers all of your healthcare costs. So we talked earlier about Medicare, that Medicare will cover your hospital, your doctor's visits, all that stuff. A lot of people on Medicare have Advantage plans that will cover their prescription drugs. Okay, it will also cover the 20% donut hole that comes in with Medicare, but that costs money, $300, $400, $500 a month for their Medicare Advantage plans. Well, Medicaid covers all of it, so you no longer have to pay for your prescription drug plan, your Part Ds.
Medicaid is going to cover Medicare.
And Medicaid will sit right on top of Medicare and cover it all.
Good.
Okay, Medicaid will also pay for a home health aide to come into the house and help up to 20 hours. And realistically, it's about 12 to 15 hours a week of a home health aide to come in and help the caregiver provide care for mom or dad. It will pay for up to $1,200 of an assisted living facility for the level of care. So the ALF, or the assisted living facility, charges $2,500 a month. That's just room and board. Then they'll charge if they need to give medications, if they need to take and help mom or dad get dressed every morning. That's all level of care. Medicaid will cover up to $1,200 for the level of care.
Interesting. Yeah. Now, what if a person does not have any kind of an asset? Person is an American
We just do an
citizen.
application.
Is an American citizen, reached that age of 85, needs this facility services. what do they do?
So we just do the application. If we don't have to do any strategy planning because there's very little or really no assets, not a problem. We just simply do the application itself.
So my next question, do people like that get Medicare? Medicaid.
We have a 100% approval rate. 100% of my clients.
So who pays for that afterwards? After the Medicaid picks up the facilities,
right,
and facilitate and the cost. Who pays for that? Or for this client that had no assets and no money and nothing?
Oh, that's a very good question. So it's 14% of our federal budget is Medicaid and CHIP.
Okay. Now that answers
why. Which is interesting because it's almost exactly the same amount that we pay for defense. We have about 12% of our federal budget goes for defense.
Yes.
And about 14% is for Medicaid.
Now that answers why presidential candidates make a big issue when it comes to Medicare and Medicaid. It's a major part of campaigning because it's such a powerful service.
Yes.
I mean, we got to look at the positivity of it.
And it really is needed because...
Yeah, necessity.
It's
to the community.
You know, when we talk about our seniors, we don't do a very good job in this country with them. We simply do not.
And most countries, of course, the world, they don't do a good job to seniors.
You know, I was reading an article a couple of weeks, and it has nothing to do, and I'll take a moment. It has nothing to do with it, but in the Netherlands, they have a dementia town. So they have a town set up for their seniors with Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's is a really debilitating disease. But they have this town set up where they have supermarkets, hairdressers, nail salons, bookstores, and apartment buildings. Now what they do is with the seniors who have Alzheimer's, and it's enclosed, so they can't wander anywhere except for this enclosed area. If you imagine a college campus, it's completely enclosed. And the seniors go to the supermarket and buy groceries. They don't actually pay for them. They think they do. They charge it on the card, but they're not really paying for it. And then they go home. And now, interestingly, what they also do is they have college students living with them for tuition reduction.
Wow.
So the college student now cooks the food and they share the meals and everything else. And so they're taking the college student who needs tuition reduction, room and board, and the senior who needs caregiver, and they put them together into these Alzheimer's little townships.
Well, that's interesting. That's a wonderful service.
It's a phenomenal service.
Give back sort of thing.
And we don't do it here.
No, that is really...
We really do a disservice to our seniors in this country. We truly do.
And I mean, it's a necessity. And as I said, that's why I realize presidential candidates make this a big issue, and they have to, because it's a necessity as to how they're going to better serve the community and the country and the people. It's not about today's sort of position thing.
And as we live, our life expectancies are increasing.
Yes.
So we're having more and more seniors every year living longer and longer. And it's becoming more and more of an issue. How do we fund it? You know, I mean, what do we do? And that's where I believe you got more seniors are living in the house and more seniors living in assisted living facilities. And those two factors, because nursing home is really at the end stages, if you will. Those two factors, you're going to need more and more Medicaid, because you simply can't, you know, you and I, we can't just take a vacation for a year from our jobs to care for mom and dad. We got to figure something out.
Because you will be doing a disadvantage. You will not be helping yourself, and if you cannot help yourself, you cannot help them.
Right. And you and I have our own families.
Yeah.
We have our own little kids that we need to take to school and
I mean, the parents are your families and they are your parents, but the point is, if you die and you crash your business and yourself, you're not going to be beneficial to them neither.
Correct.
And they would not like that, you know.
Correct.
Would you believe, again, we have been speaking more than 20 minutes after the commercial
I
break?
believe it.
Because it's interesting. It's an interesting topic. So the bottom line is people, well, you know, what I have analyzed from our conversation is that you should not wait for dementia. You should not wait to reach an old age. People need to consult an attorney like you, an elder law attorney. The earlier the better, to get some ideas of what we should do. As soon as they see their parents starting to age and they see signs, or even before seeing signs, they need to start thinking. because of assets and financial things. I know we did not get into those technicality. There may be such amount of funds in the parents' will or in their account or wherever assets that may not help them to be approved to get Medicaid, but then they may not be able to have anything to continue later on. So they need to consult your services.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, we're out of time, so you feel free. You use the last few seconds, but I would love to have you come and talk to our congregation, because I think, you know, we 700-800 people on a Friday or something. Just throw out the ideas so people can make appointments with you after and see you. I think there is a need, because there are a lot of people who don't know these things. And why I'm saying that, people come to me with these questions, issues, problems. I'm not an elder attorney law. All I hear is...
Did you sleep at a Holiday Inn, though?
I hear the problems. I hear the problems, and I go tell them, go to a doctor, go to this, go to that. And that's why I love to have people like you on the show.
Well, it's like what I do. I mean, half of what I do is simply resources for my clients. Because you know what? Okay, yeah, I get them on Medicaid. But then they still need a geriatric care manager. They still, you know, may need a person to help them choose which assisted living facility. I don't do that, but I resource them to other professionals in the community.
So they need to go down to the professionals. And I hear these issues with people, and it creates a lot of family issues, family war, misunderstandings, brothers and sisters.
Unfortunately.
And they fight amongst themselves, and they don't even realize there's a solution out there for it. That can make everybody happy, and the parents also. So what would you like to say to our audience as you end the show?
We've touched upon a lot of different topics. Hopefully what you've learned is you need to speak early and to the right people. You don't like me, I get it. Speak to a different elder law attorney. But speak to an elder law attorney to start having these conversations with you as the family members and with you and your parents, so that when the time arises, you're not scrambling to get this done, because that's really not the time that you necessarily want to stress yourself about how to get mom on Medicaid. It's the earlier, the better.
Good. Well, it was a pleasure to have you on the show, and we want to thank Attorney Yoni Makoff, who is an elder law attorney, for being with us in Al-Hikmat studio on Who is Who in America on Al-Hikmat TV. I assume that any one of you who would like to contact him, definitely you can go and Google.
You Google, or 786-463-4463. 786-463-4463.
Or they can Google your name.
Or they can Google.
And your law offices, his law offices will come up, and he's located in Aventura, in Hollywood, Boca Raton. So you can benefit by asking, calling, having some questions, and setting up an appointment, as the case may be. Wherever you are in the world, you can benefit from his services. He will direct you how and best he can assist in that manner. So thank you very much again for viewing this show with Attorney Yoni Makoff, and thank you very much for being with us. It is a pleasure, and stay tuned to Al-Hikmat TV 24/7 online. Thank you very much.
We're praying for that, right? Well, you see brothers and brothers fighting for money and property. Sisters, brothers, fathers, children. Look at our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 1400 years ago, he said, I don't fear that you guys will do shirk, assign partners to Allah. But my fear is you will envy your brother and your sister for worldly things. When they have these worldly accomplishments, you will envy it.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Al-Hikmat TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is the creator of different faces. Allah is the creator. Allah, Allahu, 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 Allah. Allahu, 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 Allah. All praises are due to Allahu, Allah. All praises are due to Allahu, Allah. Allahu, 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 Allah. Allahu, Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. If you would like to dedicate copies of one of these publications as Sadaqah Jariyah, continuous blessings for your parents or dear ones who have passed away, or fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah, please give us a call so we can place your names on these dedicated publications. You can call us at 954-986-0158, or you can also visit us at www.alhikmat.com.
Allah is the creator of different faces. Allah is the creator of all races. Allahu, 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 Allah.
Salam alayka, ya Habib.
Bounty Kings, Bounty Castles presents brand new luxury castles for all events. You can contact us at telephone number 749-4342, or you can also email us at bountykings1@gmail.com. A-Class Glamour presents to you wholesaling and retailing of premium lines of cosmetics for all skin types, designer jewelry, and many accessories. Brands include ColourPop, Maybelline, Revlon Professional, Urban Decay, Sephora, and many more. To get a hold of these products, you can call Sadiq Khan at 345-5824 or Amira Khan at 759-6089. You can also visit our Facebook page at A-Class Glamour to follow for newly released lines of products.
सदक़े में आका सारे जहां को दीन मिला बेदीनों ने कलमा पढ़ा ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह तेरे सदक़े में आका सारे जहां को दीन मिला बेदीनों ने कलमा पढ़ा ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह.
If you'd like to advertise or be a sponsor of this show, please contact Al-Hikmat office. Telephone number 1954-986-0158 or 1-868-325-8276. Or you can email us at alhikmat@alhikmat.com.
Al-Hikmat Dawah Services is offering a 10-day tour to Dubai and India from October 14th to October 24th, visiting holy sites, Taj Mahal, and many other historic sites. Departure will be from Miami, Florida. Total cost will be $3,000 with flight, hotel, and breakfast. Visa processing fees are not included. If you are interested in this tour, please contact Al-Hikmat Dawah Services at USA office 954-986-0158 or our Trinidad office at 868-325-8276, or you can email us at alhikmat@alhikmat.com. Al-Hikmat Dawah Services is offering a Ramadan Umrah trip visiting Medina and Mecca on May 11th to May 20th, 2019. Group will be led by Shaikh Shafayat with an approximate cost of $24.95 per person, departing from Miami, Florida, inshallah. If you are interested in this package, please contact Al-Hikmat Dawah Services at USA office 954-986-0158 or our Trinidad office 868-325-8276, or you can email us at alhikmat@alhikmat.com.